What's up, world? This is Salim with Flip for Figs, and today I'll be unboxing and reviewing the Hot Toys Batman Armory with Bruce Wayne 2.0 from the Dark Knight Trilogy. Let's do it.
Flip for Figs.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.
Alrighty, so this is everything you're going to get in the box. You get Batman here. This is a full-on figure, so it's not just like you can only do either or. You're getting two full-on Hot Toys figures here, which is cool. And then here is Bruce Wayne with the Christian Bale likeness. You get the armory, which can open up, and we're going to have some fun filling all that up in a second. And it does have a magnetic closure there. You have the crotch grabber here for the display stand or base, and the base is for Bruce Wayne only. You don't get one for Batman, which is kind of frustrating. And also it says The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I thought for a second that this set was from The Dark Knight, but the box actually says Dark Knight Trilogy. So I think this should have said the Dark Knight Trilogy, if not the Dark Knight. So I'm not sure. I guess they're just reusing the Dark Knight Rises base, which is kind of silly. You get the cape here, which has these two hooks. And then you get all of these accessories, which I'm not going to go through one by one because there's so much. But we'll definitely load all of that up into the armory. And then you get this little remote, which is going to control the light up feature, cell battery, and then these little hooks right here, which are for these a sticky bum gun. I don't know. And then you get all of these pieces, which are essentially to use if you want to display the suit inside of the armory. And then this is an extra cowl for that purpose as well. And then here you get extra hands for Batman, but no extra hands for Bruce Wayne. This is literally all you're getting, just the two hands that are on him. All right, let's go ahead and start loading up the armory. So many pieces, and I encourage you to look at the instruction booklet because I did not. So there were several pieces that I put in the wrong place at first. And so after I finished, then I looked at the instruction booklet and it actually shows you exactly where everything goes because some stuff is a similar shape. And so save yourself the headache, don't be a hero, and use the instruction booklet because it'll just save you a lot of time and hassle. And everything fits in pretty well. I didn't really have any issues except with that one gun up there. That one was kind of hard to fit in, but you fiddle with it enough and it'll all go in. And yeah, putting in the bullets is actually pretty satisfying. I thought it would be hard, but no, everything fits in pretty well. And afterwards, you really start enjoying everything you've done, and you don't want to mess with it. So it's kind of hard to think about like removing the accessories, because once you get them in place, you really just want to keep them. All right, sculpt and detail wise, there's a lot to love here. Let's start with Bruce Wayne, or the Christian Bale head sculpt. So I think it looks like maybe 95% of the way there. I feel like with some angles, he definitely looks like he's right out of the movie. In other ones, it looks like, I don't know, like it could be somebody else. I feel like that angle right there, it really looks like, Christian Bale. And then I think what's throwing it off for me is like the way that his mouth is slightly open, like he's saying, "Where's the trigger?" or something like that. Because I think had he just had a neutral or closed mouth expression, it would have been more effective. But since it looks like he's about to say something, I don't know, it makes him look a little awkward, especially since, I don't know, he looks a little peaky with his nose and his mouth. But overall, I think that the likeness is good. I think that anybody who's seen The Dark Knight or seen, any of the Nolan films will automatically know who it's supposed to be. It may not be as accurate as some other, Hot Toys sculpts, but I feel like it's still really solid. I never had the original, but I know that it is an improvement over the original just based on what people are saying. And then the suit looks fantastic. It's the first time I've ever had a hot toy in, like, I guess, civilian clothes. They're usually like Star Wars or Marvel, and they have these really fantastical outfits. So it's interesting to finally have a character in such a, I guess, an outfit that I would wear myself. And it looks really good. I love that you can put his hands in the pocket, and that you can, put that his watch is a separate piece, and he just looks so boss standing there. There's detail on the shoes. The tailoring is really good. I've heard some people say that the tailoring could be a little bit better, but I think that this was in the early 2010s when this is kind of how menswear fit. It was before the whole really skinny and really tailored kind of trend took over in the mid to late 2010s and early 2020s, and now everything is getting a little bit more baggy. But I definitely feel like, when the Dark Knight Batman Begins kind of came out, I was working at Wells Fargo, and I know that I definitely had some suits that fit like this. So yeah, I think he looks really good. All right, now Batman. So this is my first Batman figure, and I really love, the material of it. It's kind of like a rubberized plastic. For a second, I thought it was pleather, like Darth Vader, but it's definitely not. I don't know how well this material holds up over time compared to something like pleather, but I also don't know why they don't just use this material for Star Wars if it is more durable. But the moving eyes looks good. It looks like it's the same exact mouth, that slightly open mouth for some reason. I don't know why they went with that. The cape is not wired, but it is also sealed at the bottom, unlike my General Grievous cape. So I don't know. I feel like I'd almost rather have a non-wired cape if it meant that it would at least be sealed on the bottom. I think ideally a sealed wired cape would be best, but we don't seem to be getting that. Moving eyes as well, and I feel like, Batman just looks so human behind the mask. It looks really good. These kind of pointy sections on the back are actually quite sharp, and so just be careful that the cape doesn't hook onto it, because it could rip. I had my cape accidentally snagged onto it. It didn't tear or anything, but it could have if I pulled the wrong way too much. The head is it just kind of falls on like magnet, kind of like the newest Darth Maul. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like, on one hand, if the figure topples over, you're going to lose the head, and then there's risk of it scratching or getting scuffed up. On the other hand, I do, you don't have to worry about joints or anything getting messed up. And I think this was a good solution, since you're going to be swapping it with just the cowl if you want to display it. But But yeah, overall the suit looks good. I didn't realize that his suit had this kind of almost like army green sheen to it. I thought it was just completely black. I'm assuming this is accurate because Hot Toys tends to be accurate. But it is interesting because I thought his suit was more black. I don't remember kind of those greenish, metallic green hints on there. But overall, for my first Batman, I think it looks wonderful, and it's really cool to have a Batman in 1/6 scale finally. Something that's interesting is this head sculpt right here is this is just you can actually remove this. So you can remove the chin from the Batman head sculpt, and I'm not sure the reasoning behind that because it's not like you would do this to be able to display it, in the armory because you get a separate head for that, and I don't know why they allowed you to remove it without providing like a different mouth expression. It just seems kind of odd. And then to move the eyes, unlike Bruce Wayne, where you remove the back hair piece, here you just have access from the inside. If you want to display the Batman suit with the Bruce Wayne head sculpt, you just remove the head, pop this out, which is on a peg joint, and then you can put Bruce Wayne's head right inside. So there he is with the Batman suit on with the Bruce Wayne head sculpt. That looks really cool too. All right, if you want to display the bat suit in the armory itself, the first thing you will want to do is remove the cape, which attaches here just with these little nubs there that slide in. So you'll remove the cape, you put that off to the side. The next thing you're going to do is remove the boots. Once you have both of the legs removed, you'll slot these pieces in, and then you can put him off to the side. You'll grab this piece here, which comes in the box, and you'll just drop it in there, and then you'll hook the boot in. And then you'll have the two boots ready to go. Then you're also going to want to take off the hand as well as the little gauntlet piece. And same here, hand and gauntlet piece. And then you'll grab these little caps here and you'll just stick them on the ends, just like that. And then for the head, you'll grab the other cowl head sculpt, and then you'll just pop that right in. And there you have it. There you can have the bat suit displayed on its own, and you can just put the boots on either side of him. I actually really like the way that looks, and if I had another Batman figure to display with the other figures I plan to get eventually, like Joker and Catwoman and Bane, then I would probably just leave the suit in there because it looks really good and you could still admire all of the equipment behind him. But this is the only Batman figure I have, and so I need to have a full on Batman. But if I do end up getting another Batman, then perhaps at that point I'll display the suit in there because it does look really good. Just, having him standing beside it with the suit in there, I think that looks really awesome. And alrighty, folks. So let's talk value for the money because if there's one thing this set offers, it's value. You just get so much. You're getting two full-on Hot Toys figures, which are both incredibly detailed, incredible sculpt work, great likeness, and then you're getting this huge armory with light-up features and all of those accessories. Now, you may consider a lot of these accessories purely decorative, which is fine because even as purely decorative, you're still getting more use out of them than you would if they were another Hot Toys figure with just a bunch of accessories that are going to stay in the box. Like I have, the deluxe Mandalorian Chrome Mando, and I have the Boba Fett Deluxe. Like those are two figures that come to mind that just have so many accessories, and all those accessories stay in the box. At least here, everything you're essentially getting is right there on display. And so it's just awesome. And Hot Toys really could have cheaped out and just sculpted everything into the armory, and it still would have looked great. But no, they decided to sculpt every single bullet, every single batarang, every little individual piece is sculpted and has a nice sheen to it, has great paintwork. And while it's not as fun as I thought it would be putting everything in the armory, once it's all laid out there, it looks really great. And, a lot of times if you're picking up older Hot Toys figures that are already sold out, like I'm looking at getting Bane from the Dark Knight Rises, and he's almost the same price, if not more, than this set is brand new. And so when you consider that there's single figures out there that are the same price as this whole incredible set, which together is less than the price of two single Hot Toys usually, and you're getting, this armory, which is a huge accessory, the value is absolutely there. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to regret this purchase because you really feel like you're getting your money's worth. The value is absolutely there. You can't go wrong with it if you pick up this set. And it's like you're getting the entire Nolan representation just from one set. You're getting Bruce Wayne, you're getting Batman, you're getting the Armory. So even if you got nothing else from the Dark Knight Trilogy, this set alone is enough. Just look at it. Alrighty, so if I had to give this set a score out of 10, I would probably give it a 9.8 out of 10, which is really high. And I think the only figure I scored higher than that was Darth Maul 2.0. And that's because this set is almost perfect. There's only a couple things that bug me, and they're really not a huge deal for me personally, but I could see why they might bother others. The first is the hands. First of all, you don't get any other hands for Bruce Wayne, which is fine because there's no other accessories for him to use those hands for, I guess. But with Batman, you get a decent amount of hands, but not enough to utilize all these accessories. So the gripping hands are not tight enough to hold the nunchucks properly. There's also no trigger finger for it to be for the gun. So, you do have like some hands that are for the batarangs and some fists, but you really don't have enough hands to utilize all of the different accessories. So if you did want to try out all the different guns and stuff, you're not going to be able to adjust the hands that come with him. So that's one point against the set. The other point is the suit itself. It's just not, in terms of being able to pose it and stuff like that, it made me really nervous even trying to get it in slightly crouched pose. And so, first of all, with creasing, I didn't want it to rip. It just made me a bit nervous. I'm not a huge poser with Hot Toys figures anyways. I usually just do like museum poses, but I thought it would be fun to get some, Batman in some dynamic poses, even for a short period of time. And I was just a little too nervous doing it. And again, I don't know what the solution is there because it looks screen accurate, and I'm sure the real suit kind of was made of a similar material. So those are the only things, and that's because I'm like fishing for something to complain about, because otherwise the set is fantastic. I guess my only other gripe is that it didn't include Alfred. Apparently the 1.0 had Alfred as an option, and that would have been great because the original Michael Caine figure is not in good shape. And, I think we could have used a 2.0, and it would have been great to have Alfred as well. But aside from that, the set is just, I love it. I think it's perfect, and I'm so happy to have it. I feel like this set alone could represent the whole Nolan trilogy for me, even if I never ended up getting the others, which I hope I do. And so, yeah, it's a fantastic set. I got mine from Toys Assemble. I wasn't able to pre-order it from Sideshow, and so I figured I would get it from Toys Assemble once it became available. And what's interesting about this particular set is the blogger photos came out, but the set was nowhere to be found online. And then finally it came into stock on Pop Collectibles, but it was like way too expensive. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just have to wait to try to get it on waitlist or get it on eBay eventually. And then weeks went by, and I kept checking the Toys Assemble website. And then Grievous came out, so I got distracted with Grievous and everything like that. And then finally, just last week, it came into stock on Toys Assemble, and the price was actually almost the same as the retail price on Sideshow, obviously not including shipping. And so I knew I just had to have it. And funny story, usually I get my Toys Assemble packages within like 2 days. In this situation, it got actually held up in customs because I had to fill out some toxic substance report. I don't know if they just miscategorized this particular set or it's because it has that big button cell battery or the USB light up features. But either way, it kind of got stuck in customs for 4 or 5 days. And then it ended up getting delivered to me yesterday. And somehow I avoided tariffs. I don't know if that's because the tariff policy has changed or if it's because it was held in customs. They just delivered it to me and forgot to collect tariffs. But that was a nice surprise because without tariffs, obviously the shipping is a bit higher from Hong Kong than it would have been on Sideshow. But if Sideshow did charge tariffs, it's almost the same. So I got this set pretty much retail price, and I'm super happy. It's such an incredible set. So happy to have it, and I would highly encourage you to get it. If you're a fan of Batman, if you're a fan of the Dark Knight Trilogy, if you're a fan of Hot Toys, I think this appeals to anybody. And, it's just a fantastic set. So, yeah, I do hope to get the others in the series. I hope to get Bane and Catwoman. And, eventually I do need a Joker. It seems silly because that's usually the first thing people get. For me, they keep releasing so many new Jokers, and I know I want the bank robber one, but I haven't decided between like an in art Joker or a Hot Toys Joker, and there's so many variations. So I kind of just put Joker on the back burner for now. But there will definitely be more Batman stuff coming. So if you like this review, if you love Hot Toys, if you love gaming statues, Lego, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I release new content every week, and I would love to have you as part of the Flip for Figs universe. So with that said, I'll catch you next time.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.